Hey everyone, I'm going to go over what's going on in week 7 in this video. First of all, I just want to say that I really appreciate everyone's honest feedback in the midterm reflections. I found those very helpful to read and hear what you all are going through. And also, you're doing a good job on the infographics as well. So with that infographic, you have basically kicked off your extended inquiry project. So that is the first step in the inquiry project. And what you're going to be doing this week is starting the research logs. So in total, you're going to find 10 sources that respond to your question that you posed in the infographic. And I want you to remember that your goal is not to make an argument for or against anything related to your issue. What you're doing in these research logs is really immersing yourself in the topic and really just seeing where it takes you. Your question might change as you go, and I will show you where you should note that if that happens on your research log. So remember, you're doing inquiry-based research and not the thesis first model. And that's really important to remember as you're choosing your sources. You don't have that added stress of wondering, does this argue for or against? If you think it adds an interesting aspect to your topic and it's a reliable source, then that is what you're looking for. Okay, so before you even get started on the research logs this week, what I'd like you to do is to go back to your infographic and look at what your peers have said about your infographic and pay special attention to whether or not they were able to tell that your question arose from our reading and discussion of digital minimalism. So remember that your topic had to come from that, and that becomes very important in your first research log, which I'll show you now. Okay, so the research log you should have set up on Thursday in your team's Google folder. All right, so once you have that set up, every research log you're just going to add to that document. So you have one running Google Doc with all your research logs together in your Google folder that your team can access. Okay, so you're adding this entry to your research log that you already started. Do not create a new document. Okay, so this way, when your team needs to look at what you have in your research logs, they're always going to that same document and just using the table of contents to find the most recent one. Okay, so for this research log, this one, let me just say that for each research log, I give you guidelines about where you're going to be looking for the sources. So it's different for every research log. For this first one, we are using the notes section of digital minimalism. And the reason for that is that you are using what you have already read as kind of a stepping stone into your research. So the notes section of Cal Newport's book starts on page 257 and goes to page 271. And I just want to talk a little bit about what this section is, since a lot of people may not be familiar with it. So this notes section is basically kind of like a works cited or references list for Newport. It documents all of the sources that he referenced or listened to or read or watched while writing this book. So basically you're getting a peek at the conversation, if you think about the parlor metaphor, you're peeking in on the parlor that Newport was listening and reading and watching as he created the book Digital Minimalism. So what you're going to do is you're going to look in the back of the book for a source that stands out to you that you think relates to your topic in some way. And you're going to use that, you're going to find it online and use that for your first source. This source may not be exactly what your topic is about, and that's fine. If you think it relates in some way, has some effect on your topic, then that's what you're looking for. Most students are not going to find a source that hits their topic right on the nose, has everything they want to know about their topic. That's not the way research usually happens. So let me show you an example. I've pulled up on Amazon the Look Inside Digital Minimalism, so I can show you what I mean and how you're going to find a source. So I was looking in the back of my book, and I'm imagining maybe my topic has something to do with solitude. So I flipped through the notes to where it says Chapter 4, Spend Time Alone, and I'm looking for a source that I think might be interesting as a first source to read and find out more about my topic. So I'm also going to look for a source that I think is going to be easy to find online. All right. So generally that would mean something that has a web address that is already readily available for you online. So I see this this article here, Have Smartphones Destroyed a Generation? And that sounds like an interesting source to me. I wanted to show you that this is the page number that Newport quoted from, and this is Newport's quote. You can just ignore that when you are creating your research log. That doesn't matter to you. You do not need to include the page number or the bolded phrase, that's the Newport's quote, in your research log. Instead, you're interested in this bibliographic information. So right here we have the author of the article. This is the title of the article, Have Smartphones Destroyed a Generation? And this is the journal or magazine that it appeared in and the date it originally appeared and the web address. Now, instead of typing in that web address, I'm just going to Google that title. Let's see. Have Smartphones Destroyed a Generation? Okay, so I know this one is available here, and you can read it online. You can see that this is the same one he's referring to because it has the same author. Okay, so if I use this one, then I'm going to use that bibliographic information in my research log 1. Okay, so that's what I mean by looking for a source that seems interesting related to your topic in Newport's notes. Okay, so you have to use his notes to find that source, and that's only for this time. You're not going to do that every single research log, but it's a good stepping stone between our book and your own research. Okay. And this is also a really good way to find sources as you go as well, is to look in the notes or the resources or the references of any article or book that you find. So I'm not going to go through every direction of the research log 1, but it is very important that you follow the directions on how to format all the headings. So you're using headings 1, 2, and 3. This might seem a little confusing at first, but I promise you will get used to it as you continue to do the research logs. Every research log is going to be formatted doing these same steps with the headings and the summary. You'll also be adding some key terms and your own commentary. All right, so please make sure that you are following those instructions carefully. Also, you will need to, at the end, update your table of contents, and so that when someone goes to your page, they can easily navigate the research logs. I also want to point out that this is not busy work. You are actually building a part of your extended inquiry project as you are going along. So instead of doing your research all at once, you are doing it slowly, 1 or 2 sources at a time. So for research log 1, you are finding 1 source, and then on Thursday, you are going to respond to your writing team's research log 1. So you're going to use the comments function in the Google Docs. So there's instructions there on how to use the comments function. It's very easy. And add comments to the document, to each of your group, your writing team's document, focusing on these two aspects. So you're adding two comments, one comment, at least two comments, one comment about the summaries and one comment about the editor's commentary. Okay, so, and if there's anything else that you want to add, you can go ahead. And then for Research Log 2, on Thursday, you are finding two sources. And remember, I'm directing you where to look for those sources each time. So for Research Log 2, you're going to use Google Scholar to try to find those sources. So Google Scholar is a Google search that looks for more scholarly sources. So it's filtering out some of the maybe less reliable sources for you, okay? And again, you're following the same instructions about the headings, all right? One thing that I want to mention about your research logs is when you set them up, you had an overview at the top, and that's where you're going to include your topic, your guiding question. So if I go back to our instructions for setting up the research logs, I just want to show you where you're going to put that. Okay, so for this heading one that says overview, this is always going to be at the top of your research logs. Please make sure that you have this filled in. As editor, I'm collecting texts that tie into the following conversation. And so that's where you put your guiding question. That question you might refine or change, revise as you go, and that's where you would update that, okay? And then finally this week, let me go back to our weeks here. Next Sunday, you have, let's scroll down here, the studio that is going to be about evaluating sources. So it's going to help you think about different ways to find reliable sources and how to determine that they are reliable, okay? So if you're having trouble with anything and not sure about how to find a source in Newport's notes, feel free to email me or post to our class forum. And I look forward to seeing what you all come up with this week.